Why is it that every time it seems like we're about to have a breakthrough on holding politicians to account over COVID, some huge political news comes along and redirects our attention? This week, we heard Pfizer executive Jay Small on record saying they never tested the Pfizer jab for transmissibility. Now, Pfizer were never required to test the vaccine for transmissibility because there was political pressure to roll the vaccine out. But governments made decisions to impose lockdown restrictions and run public health campaigns on the basis that the jabs would prevent COVID being passed on. That's what we were led to believe. Some argue that studies from Israel and the UK quickly influenced the view that the vaccine helped prevent transmission following rollout. But I think knee-jerk and draconian lockdown measures were unnecessary. These decisions had a huge impact on people's livelihoods, and they are still at stake due to the cost of lockdown crisis. An unprecedented number of pubs are closing, the high street has been decimated, and the jabs are still being pushed. Rob Roos, MEP, put a question to the Pfizer director, Jay Small, during a COVID hearing in the European Parliament, and her laughter and unequivocal answer sent shockwaves through the media.
Regarding the question around did we know about stopping immunisation before it's entered the market? No. We had to really move at the speed of science to really understand what is taking place in the market.
If you ask me, for a government to use behavioural science against its people should be a crime. Politicians are elected to represent us, not to manipulate us. To me, the whole Don't Kill Granny campaign was wicked, but that was just the start. Durham Cathedral implemented a vaccine passport requiring the faithful masses to provide proof of COVID status before entering. I believe this is counter-scriptural. We all know Christ sat with lepers, but of course COVID is nothing like leprosy. Yes, it could be serious, but for many it was like a seasonal influenza. The church removed choice from those who wished to be close to God, whether they had COVID or not. In my mind, there is a word for people who keep others away from our Lord: evil. It's medical apartheid, dividing people based on their medical status, not even their health, be it healthy or infected, but their vaccine status. Vaccine mandates for health workers, for example, make no sense. Why did hundreds of carers lose their jobs for their personal decision not to receive a vaccine at a time when we apparently needed more care workers than ever? Surely that's counterproductive. If the COVID jab wasn't initially tested for transmissibility, your personal choice would have had no impact on other people. It's down to you to weigh up the personal health benefits, either way, and decide for yourself whether you'd be better off taking the jab or not. I decided not to. As a relatively young and healthy man with no comorbidities, I saw that a US study showed the adverse reactions from the COVID jab amongst young males made it more of a risk than COVID itself, and that there were concerns in the United States of higher than expected rates of heart inflammation in young men. I went on to catch COVID. Frankly, I've had worse colds, but now I have natural immunity, which of course is always superior to superficial immunity, without the risk of heart defects. Win-win. Why then were people being bullied and pressured into taking the jab? The Archbishop of Canterbury inappropriately moralised the jab during his Christmas message, saying, "Get vaccinated. It's how we love our neighbour. Loving our neighbour is what Jesus told us to do. It's Christmas. Do what he said." In my opinion, using the name of our Lord to convince people to take a medical procedure they may not want or need, with the benefit of lining the pockets of Big Pharma, is wrong. I believe we were misinformed by our public institutions, our politicians, media outlets, and the church. The COVID response, from locking down individuals in a free country to mandating medical procedures and attempting to implement medical apartheid, may be the biggest scandal in living memory. Only time will tell.